Hey ladies, it's your girl Truly Inspired Martin, the Reset Coach. And if you're truly ready to go from BS to success, welcome to a new season of the Recrown You podcast. Everybody wants to be, but nobody wants to do. Girl, it's time to be real, raw, and relentless. Everybody wants to be, but nobody wants to do. You know it's time.
Recrown you.
What's up, guys? It's your girl, Truly Inspired Martin, and welcome to another episode of the Recrown You podcast, ladies. That's right, ladies. We are here for the women who are ready to be real, raw, and relentless in their pursuit to unleash their inner badass. So what exactly does that mean for you? That means that you are a woman that is unapologetically you, and you are being bold in who you are, especially for the 21, right? Like, I know 2020 done dealt us some hands, baby, but I'm telling you that if you get the right strategy, the right mindset, the right posture in place, a lot of things can change and shift for you. I'm super excited about this season. I got some amazing guests that's popping on the scene. And I want to shout out all my Recrown You loyalists. If this is a repeat moment for you where you come and you listen to the Recrown You podcast all the time, shout out to you. I love you. Y'all keep me going. And for all my new people, thank you so much for visiting the Recrown You podcast. So for those of y'all that are new to me, I am Dana, Truly Inspired Martin. I am your women's personal development coach, and I teach women how to go from BS to success by increasing their emotional intelligence and becoming more self-aware. I'm also your favorite HR consultant. I help small businesses to recruit new talent and also with retention strategies and just to implement HR in your business. So if that's something that you're looking for, go to www.trulyhrconsulting.com or visit our Instagram page at trulyhrconsulting. Definitely want to plug that in there because our small businesses need me and my team. Okay. So I'm super excited about being able to bring you some heat, some hot, some heat down this pipeline today. And we definitely switching it up, ladies. Y'all know every now and then I like to bring the opposite sex to the table because they have what we need. We need to hear all perspectives, right? We need to hear what a man has to say about certain topics. And I think that when we are able to bridge that gap, we find a lot of clarity and understanding from a different perspective. And that is where we want to be. When we're thriving and surviving, we're learning in the process, right? So get somebody that can give you some teachable, tangible resources and ways to make things happen. So y'all know how we get it started over here. We're going to start it with a quote. And today's quote comes from Peter A. Levine, and it is, "Trauma is a fact of life. It does not, however, have to be a life sentence." Whew, let that breathe, right? Trauma is a fact of life. It does not, however, have to be a life sentence. And this is a great segue into our guest today. And I'm going to tell y'all a little bit about him. But today's episode is called Living with the Memory. Living with the Memory. I'm super excited about where this is going to go. But let me tell y'all about my brother from another mother. Okay. So when y'all know that when it comes to me, I'm all about relationships, right? So when y'all hear me talk about this, my brother, this, my sister, this is somebody that's close to me, this is a colleague, I build relationships because I build relationships with people that add value, the people that we can add value to each other, right? People that are doing things. So when I bring people here, it's not just for kiki, okay? It's because I know this person has a story. I know these people have the resources. I know that they have something inside of them that you can extract and really, really level up in your next season, right? So I just wanted to hashtag that's it. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into this bio, right? So we got Jamel Dev'on Jackson. He is an author, a prolific artist, and a relationship mechanic that focuses on repairing, evaluating, and giving you the tools you need to maintain healthy relationships. He has been teaching on the topic of relationships for more than 10 years. Whew, that means he got that drip, y'all. He got that drip. Jamel is the CEO of Fire Iron Consulting, an agency that provides expertise in the area of identifying and monetizing your gifts and presenting them to the world. He is a firm believer that all relationships need to be valued in order to prosper. Listen, and I got that book, The Value of Relationships. That was a plug. Y'all need to make sure that y'all go ahead and tap in with that. But, I ain't going to hold y'all up. I can't keep the man from the mic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring Jamel Jackson to the stage. You with me?
What's going on, Dana? How you doing?
I am good. How are you, bro?
I'm doing amazing, man. I'm excited. I feel very honored to be on your podcast. Truly, truly honored.
Aw, thank you for showing up and standing in who you are, because I know somebody's going to get some value from your value. Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
y'all know how we get it started over here. So Jamel, I just read your bio, but we want to know something about you that probably nobody knows. I love when people tell me a fun fact about them that nobody knows. What you got?
You know what? Believe it or not, and I know people that know me are gonna be like, man, that's not true, man. This dude is telling a lie, man. Believe it or not, I'm not a big extrovert person.
I believe that.
I'm really introverted. It's just that what I do and what I'm called to do in life requires me to be extroverted, so I just do it.
So you kind of like a intro with extroverted tendencies, but it's like activated in the right environments.
Yes, if it was up to me, like I have to literally. There's times where if people see me being extroverted, it's because I threw myself out there, because I'm willing to throw myself out there because my mind is connected to the mission and the purpose. So therefore, I throw away how I feel in order to engage with the purpose and the mission at that moment.
Oh, wait a minute. I feel like bars is getting dropped already. Oh, my Lord. Okay. I see where we going with this. So I gotta open the set. I gotta open the door, right? I gotta ask the question. How? Let's say how. How will your message connect to women?
Message is going to connect to women first and foremost because I lived out this message. I know a lot of times people deliver messages or preach a message or speak on a message, and they haven't been through the fire of the message. I've been through the fire of the message, and I've seen hundreds of lives transform from me delivering this message, not just to men and women, but even to women. And I've seen women come with powerful testimonies and break down in tears from this message being delivered. So for those who are listening, take notes, take heed, and receive this wisdom, because there's a difference between earthly wisdom and heavenly wisdom. And what I'm about to deliver, I believe truly, wholeheartedly, is heavenly wisdom right
now. Ooh, okay. Let me go ahead and get prepared, get ready. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it, right? What exactly does it mean when you say living with the memory? Because that's heavy. So can you unpack that a little bit?
Let me just describe what memory is. Like, by definition, memory is like it's used to a process to acquire or retain information so you can later retrieve it. So living with the memory, we have, and all of us, the human frailty that we have, our brain has short-term and long-term memory. And so short-term memory lasts anywhere between 30 to 45 seconds. Some people may say 20 to 30 seconds, but either way, it's no longer than a minute. Your long-term memory lasts a little longer. So if I was to say something like 1445 Jamel memory QX, your short-term memory, that'll last for about a minute. If I come back maybe 20 minutes later and say, hey, do you remember those letters and signs that I said? More than likely, you'll be like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. However, if you're driving down the highway and we're in a vehicle and you're telling me to get off at exit 16, and instead of all coming traffic and then I bust another U-turn and go swerve off at exit 16, you would never forget that. It could be 5-10 years from now, and you're going to get off an exit. If a person swerves, that will trigger that memory from the previous years of when we were about to make that U-turn. So you have these two memory compartments, and inside of your long-term memory is a compartment called episodic. Now, this particular compartment or category within your long-term memory, it recollects specific events and situations and experiences from long-term. For instance, like your first day of school, or the first kiss you had, or attending a person's birthday party, or the graduation. Certain things would trigger that long-term memory to have you go back into your memory and be reminded of that moment. Do you understand?
Yeah, yeah. I completely relate, actually.
So when I'm talking about living with the memory, it's not going anywhere. So now, as we relate this to trauma or traumatic experiences that we've had in our life, a lot of this stems from when we were younger. You know, nobody never told us something. Depending on the household you grew up, I know specifically in my culture, a lot of my Black friends that I grew up with, and I would fall off my bike when I was 10 or 11 years old and run to my mom and say, "Mom, my leg is hurt." Boy, go back and get on your bike. You see, we playing cards out here. This is the last spades game we got to play. So boom, I just run off and I get on my bike and I just go do what I got to do. Next thing you know, I become a teenager and something happens and I want to go talk to my dad or whoever to tell them about how I hurt and how the pain is hitting me. And they're like, it's Thanksgiving. We getting the food ready. We don't talk about that right now. Go do what you was doing. Go sit in the back room. So you go in the back room and just go back to your video games. Now, what happens is as the years progress, you become an adult. You're in your young adult age and you become a full-grown adult. And all of these years, what you've been doing is masking your memory.
Mm.
In those particular memories that are not going anywhere. That's why it's called living with the memory, because it's not going anywhere. I mean, unless we develop some type of disease like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or something impacts your memory to that extent where you totally forget. But 9 times out of 10, it's not going anywhere. This is why it's called living with the memory.
And that's the thing, right? Because there's conversations that I've had, with some of my coaching clients, and even conversations I've had with myself, right? And I'm thinking about those different moments in my life, like take it even back to a domestic violence relationship, right, that I was in. And I remember, this situation where we were in the car coming from Chick-fil-A. I've told this story several times. In the car coming back from Chick-fil-A, the music was bumping, food was great. So I was tearing this food up in the car. And I remember he pulled the car over, my car. He was driving my car, pulled my car over, turned the music down, looked at me and screamed to the top of his lungs, "Why the F are you chewing so loud?" And and I remember just sitting there like, what the hell is wrong with this dude? But here's the thing, from that one moment, that was a spiral into him being abusive, but not even surpassed that. I remember getting into a relationship after that. And I used to be scared, so to speak, to eat in front of my new mate. Because I was like, is he going to think that I'm chewing too loud? Is he going to get, is he going to get loud? Is he going to get like that? That trauma sticks with you. Those memories stick with you.
Let me say this. Many people may not know this, but I posted some videos on my Instagram for those who follow me and probably watched it, and I'll probably do another video. I was in an 11-year marriage. Toward the time of me exiting the marriage in 2017 when I left. Prior to that, in 2014, my wife had stepped out. 2015, she stepped out. Now, in no way am I castigating her name or condemning her name, because I still look at her like an amazing woman. She has a boyfriend now that she's with. I see her and my daughter. She's cool, an amazing woman, mighty woman of God, still highlight her. But these instances did occur. The whole marriage was not terrible. In 2014, she stepped out. 2015, she stepped out. After that, I went through the motions. 2017, I said, wow. I said, you know what, God? I'm not okay with what happened. First, I had to go to God, and I was like, God, I had to be honest with myself and say, you know what? I'm not okay with what happened. First, I had to be honest with myself and then honest with God and say, God, I'm not okay with what happened in 2014 and 2015. I'm not okay. Like, I'm not like, because that's what we always say. I'm okay. I'm good. And what he said, and then after that, when I decided, it wasn't like an overnight decision. When I finally made the decision and said, you know what, I'm bowing out. I'm done. Literally in 2018, right after I did that, I became intrigued with short-term and long-term memory. As I described in the beginning of this message, I started studying it. And then my church offered a course called The Healer Being Healed. The Healer Being Healed. And it was a 16-week course for leaders to go through and before we decided to counsel or touch other people or speak to other people. And so in that course, we dealt with traumatic experiences, generational curses, the psychology behind trauma. And one of the things we were addressing was with memory. And God said, Jamel, what happened was you never learned how to live with the memory.
Mm.
So what happened in 2014? Yeah, of course, I did forgiveness, which is a very powerful tool. In 2015, I did forgiveness, very powerful tool. But here's the thing: what he started to reveal to me in my human frailty, and for those who are believers, and even if people don't believe in the same God I believe in, for those who believe in a higher power, we all have some reverence to this power. That if I do these certain things like prayer, worship, forgive, love, have authentic apologies, these are great things to do. I'm not negating that. They're powerful tools, but they're just stepping stones. They're not the be all to end all. Here's what God showed me: they're not going to erase your memory.
Mm.
I know I'll step on some believers' toes. It doesn't matter how much you worship, how much you fast, how much you pray, how much you study, meditate, kumbaya on the top of a mountain. It's not going to erase your memory.
Right.
That's why it's called living with the memory. And nobody told us, how do I live with the memory? How do I live with what he did, she did, they did? Let alone, what did I do to myself?
Right.
And what we have the tendency to do is we mask the memory. We get very successful. We get, the same example you just gave. You're chewing the gum. This guy gets irate and starts getting angry and screams at you. Now, you never learned how to live with the memory. So now when you chew gum, or when you go to eat in the car or vehicle, now it has you being triggered by that memory. And now what happens is you drawing yourself into isolation, into hopefully not depression, where it's like, I don't know if I want to eat around this person because I did that before and this is what happened.
Right.
And so let's go into this, the marriage thing. I leave, and now I have to go. I go through this 16-week course of being healed, the healer being healed, and I'm digging more into this memories thing. And God begins to open it up to me, like, you never learned how to live with the memory. It's called living. It's not, your memory's not going there. It's not going anywhere. And so we tend to start masking the memory, becoming successful, getting 10,000 followers on Instagram, getting all these likes, getting all these attributes and accolades, and we're praying and we're doing everything, but really we're just masking it. And then our famous words is people say, hey man, how you doing? I'm okay. And really you're not okay. Because when you get alone, it's you and that memory. And the thing about saying you're okay, just like I did, what happened was life has things called triggers, which a lot of us may know about. Triggers are going to check and see if you're really okay.
Yeah.
Because I thought I was okay. And then after I left the marriage, I had to go get some stuff from the apartment. And I was like, I'm okay. And this is after my first week inside the Healer Being Healed course. And I went to the apartment, I put the key in the door and broke down. And I said, whoa.
Wow.
And God was like, Jamel, you're not good. I'm about to take you through this process. This thing that I showed you and revealed you about memory, you're about to be the first one to go through the process of learning how to live with the memory. And he began to give me steps on how people do this. Most of this is not taught even in churches. This is not taught in our families. Think about it. When we grow up, like I said in the beginning of the message, most of the time our families, and it's not a knock to them or condemning our parents or whoever was your parental advisor. They didn't know.
Yeah.
Go back and play in your room. It's such and such birthday. We're not talking about that right now. So we go back in the room and we mask it. And then we become adults. We've mastered masking it. We put our makeup on, we put our suits and ties on, and let alone for ladies, we get our hair all done up, our nails is good, we done got fit in the gym, but we dying inside because we never learned how to live with the memory.
Jesus. Yeah, that was heavy, and I really applaud you for being transparent too, with your own journey, because I know just a bit of that, but there's so much to unpack from that situation. Like, men deal with their own stuff too, and it's in a direct correlation to women, and there's traumas you guys have to overcome. There's memories that you guys are trying to live with, right? And I heard this quote before, and I know you always good at kind of busting things down, right? So you can kind of break this one down for me. I heard this quote before that says, everyone has photographic memory, some just don't have the film. Everyone has photographic memory, some just don't have the film. What does that mean to you?
Immediately when I heard that, is when I everybody has photographic memories. Some just don't have the film. We have these memories. It goes back. I believe it's connecting exactly what I'm talking about. We have these memories, and when it says some just don't have the film, meaning some don't have the wherewithal to recall and address these traumatic experiences, or we don't have the tools to get to the film. Because here's the thing, the film is still there. You understand?
Yep.
The film. This is coming to my. God deals with me with images, so I'm just gonna flow how he allows me to flow. The film is still there. The film is like a movie. The memories are like clips. So in your quote, it said the memory, but accessing the film. I still need to have the ability to access the film, and have tools to navigate the film with all these clips and memories. Most of us don't, because nobody showed us how to. We say forgive the person that beat you. Forgive him for punching you in your face. Forgive him for cussing you out. Say sorry, worship, pray to God, do all those things. Those are very powerful things. I'm not saying stop doing those, but that's not going to help you live with the memory.
Yes, that's the truth.
It's not gonna do it. It's not gonna. And here's the thing. I know it for a fact because I've been through the process. I thought I did all of those things. I loved. I sincerely apologized. I worshiped. I forgave. I did all of that. And God was like, Jamel, that's not gonna help you live with your memory. You got to learn how to live with it, because it's not going nowhere.
Yeah.
When you turn 60 years old, the memory of what happened with your marriage is still going to be there, because life has triggers. You go into a certain restaurant where you guys used to eat and that certain song come on, triggers. You see her watch a certain movie and then a certain scene comes on and you used to watch that scene with her, triggers. And so I began to ask God, I was like, man, listen, how do I do this? How do I live with the memory? Because what happened was, not only now I pushed the marriage aside, Dana, and I said, you know what? As I began to go through this process, I said, man, I need to go back. I started going back to my own childhood. Now I pushed the marriage aside. I said, man, I'm not okay with the way my dad did what he did. Ooh. Matter of fact, I'm not okay with when the police slammed me on top of the car several times every other week. That thing did something to me. And here I am at 35 years old, saying and confessing I'm okay, but really there's triggers when I see officers cruise by.
Yeah.
So I started going through the whole entire life cycle. And think about it. Nobody never told us how to. How do I learn how to live with the memory? I started, can I go down this vein?
You go where you want.
I asked God how to this, and he deals with me through biblical principles. So for those that probably relate, and some may not relate, but the principles still apply. I guarantee they still apply to any background. So there's this story where you got, and I'm gonna go through the story, not through the whole entire story, but there's this story where you have Jesus and they're at the Last Supper. He's passing around this bread and he says, somebody's going to deny me 3 times. And then you have his friend Peter, his homie. He stands up and says, he insists that he said, I'll die with you. I will never deny you. And all the other disciples vowed the same. And Jesus makes his reply. He says, look, before the rooster crows, you're going to deny me 3 times. Peter said, he made an oath. I'm never going to do that. So you find Peter goes off. They're walking off and they capture Jesus. And they take him away to be crucified. And Peter is ran off and somebody sees him and say, hey, aren't you one of the guys that was rolling with the guy Jesus? He's like, no, that's not me. That's one time right there. Then he goes off and he tries to blend in by the fire. It says he's sitting by the fire. He's trying to blend in with the other people. And somebody says, no, hey, ain't you one of the people that was with him? He said, no, that's not me, man. Leave me. I'm not one of them. That's 2 times. And then Peter goes off again, and somebody sees him and says, man, I'm sure you are one of the guys that was with him. And he says, no, it's not me. And then boom, the rooster crows, right? That's 3 times he denies him. Check this out. You tracking with me?
Yep, I'm here.
So we fast forward the story now. Now Jesus has been captured, right? He's been captured. He's been crucified. He's been buried and he has risen again. He's been crucified, buried, and risen again. This is all how I got this story of how to live with the memory. This is all how I got the method and the solution to living with the memory. So he's captured, he's crucified, and he's crucified, he's buried, and he's risen again. Now that's a span of time. theologians and people would argue the span of time. I'm not here to argue the length of time, but some time had passed. And now he sees Peter again. And now he sees Peter again. And this is an amazing thing because he sees him again. And this is in the book of John. He says, Peter, after they had breakfast, he said, Peter, do you love me? And Peter said, yes, I love you. Then he asked him the second time. He said, Peter, do you love me? He said, yes, well, I love you. He said, okay. And it's his thing. The third time it says, Peter, did you love me? And right then and there, Peter said, it's recorded. Peter said, it says Peter was hurt. The third time. And right then and there, God said, Jamel, write this down. This is what happened in that moment. When Jesus asked him the third time, do you love me? What happened was it triggered the memory from when Peter said, I would never deny you. And on the third time, the rooster crowed, he denied him. It triggered that memory. And it says Peter was hurt.
Mm.
And right then and there, I paused. And God said, now, Jamel, look, this is the disciples. He said, now you think you're immune to this? All of this time that went by, Peter never learned how to live with the memory. You even have Judas who couldn't live with the memory of betraying Jesus for coins. So what he did, and this happens in the political realm and the entertainment realm and the social media realm and the entrepreneurial realm and high schools and colleges and corporate companies, people go and hang themselves. Because what happened was they never learned how to live with the memory. I can't take this memory, Judas said, so I'm going to hang myself. We see it in the entertainment realm, in all these industries. I'm going to commit suicide. I'm going to cut my wrist. God forbid some woman listening to this right now is at the point of, you know what, I'm just going to kill myself because I can't live with the memory.
Okay.
But not on my watch, not on your watch, because God is giving me a solution. I said, how do you do this? He said, now here's what he said. After going through these 16-week course, he said, Jamel, what you have to do is you have to partner your memory with healthy people, not perfect people. We got to remember this. We're healthy people, not perfect people, because some people only want to hear your memory to gossip about your pain. And if we don't know healthy people, here's the thing. First, we have to be honest with ourselves. I don't like what's going on. I don't like the way these memories keep triggering me and pushing me into isolation or causing me not to be responsive to my friends or causing me to be under this psychological control. And then be honest with God or whatever creator you believe in. God, I don't like this. Help me. And I guarantee he will send people your way. And if you don't have people your way and you're listening to this podcast, you have two people now. Yeah. And so as you partner your memory with healthy people, that's what I had to do. I lived this out. I had to partner my memory with healthy people. God sent me a wise man and a wise woman. And I began to explain to them, like, look, I'm not okay with what happened in my marriage. I'm not okay with what, matter of fact, we talked about the marriage. I said, I'm not okay with what happened in my childhood. I don't like the way my dad hit me. I don't like the way the police did this. I don't like the way when I was locked up, this had to happen. It's messing with me. And as I begin to partner that memory, specifically about the marriage now, what happened is the memory began to lose its strength. Remember, it's not going nowhere, but it began to lose its strength. So I could be in the mall and I could hear a certain song or see a couple walk by and do something my wife and I used to do. And yes, it would trigger. It would trigger the memory and the memory would come up. But what happened was I noticed that the memory began to lose its strength because now it didn't drive me into isolation. It didn't drive me into being quiet and switching my behavior. And so the memory is right there, but it's not strong enough to overwhelm me. I'm more stronger than it now.
Ooh, that's heavy. And that's called taking control. Cause that's, cause you've heard people say like you can erase your memories. Like people suggest the erasing of memories, but it's like, how do you really do that? Isn't there like a part of your brain that's like unable to do that? Like you really hit on something that, partnering those memories with something positive, like, okay, so I'm a woman listening, right? I'm gonna just use this example. I'm a woman listening. I'm like, Jamel, oh my God, you speak it so heavy to me right now. Like I can completely relate. Like I'm dealing with that right now. I'm going through it right now. I'm hurting. Like I really just be trying to get rid of this, these memories. I'm trying to suppress them. I'm trying to drink them away. I'm trying to smoke them away. I'm trying to find every which way to just get rid of these memories. What can I do right now, today, in this moment, to shift the trajectory of my life when it comes to this trauma that I'm dealing with?
I would say to that person, immediately If you don't have a lifeline and you're listening to this message, honestly, Dana, reach out to Dana today. Reach out to her in this very moment. There's many resources you have for people to get in contact with you. It's not like you're private on Instagram, you're not private on Facebook. They can contact you, and you're the type of person that is going to respond immediately. The same thing for me. If somebody's listening to this, reach out to me immediately. DM me. I have resources within my Rolodex that I can point you to somebody immediately, because I do these things, even my coaching sessions, called memory meetings.
Ooh.
Especially with couples, with memory meetings. But to get to your question, I would say reach out to one of us immediately. And I'm one of them type of people. If I don't have the answer, I have no problem pointing you to somebody in my resource Rolodex that has more education than me, that is more skilled than me, because it's not about me receiving somebody just to have somebody to coach and walk through the process. There are people that are more anointed than me, and I have no problem with pointing you to them if I don't have the answer. But here's what I will say. If you reach out to me or you reach out to Dana, I guarantee you're going to get an answer. That's the first thing, just to reach. I'm not even going to get deep and say, oh, you should do A, B, C, D. Reach out. That's the first thing I would do, is reach out to a credible source, and you have two of them right now that you're listening to.
Oh, that's heavy. Everything that you talked about, like, in college, I did a lot of psychology classes because I low key was trying to change my major to psychology. But I remember one of the things we talked about, and people out there in the audience, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. But I remember something along the lines of exposure therapy, I think it was called, for like PTSD.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, they use that like as a behavioral therapy for like PTSD. And I think it helps for like flashbacks and nightmares and stuff like that, right? And it can really help to, like, I think they kind of make you like retell your story or think about the story of your trauma. Like, they really make you hone in on that. And listening to you tell all of this, it's almost kind of like exposure therapy. Like, you have to address, right? You have to confront, right? And I think that those are the things that really, really, I think I've heard we probably heard this quote a million times. You can't heal what you don't reveal, right? And I think that is so important when we're talking about living with the memory, not trying to erase it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really feel like there's a way to completely erase memories, because those things come up at random times. Like, I've had memories where, or little triggers or what have you, things that just pop into my mental when I'm just laying in the bed, 2:00 in the morning. Right? Like, how do you cope through those moments when you feel like you're going into anxiety, right? And you feel your heart racing, your palms sweating, and you're just like, I don't feel like praying. You know what I'm saying? Like there's and you touched on that earlier too, and I'm glad that you did, because there are moments, as growing up, especially growing up Black, growing up Christian, growing up in the church or what have you, it was always pray about it. Oh, you'll just get through that. Just pray about it. And mental health and dealing with things at the core of it, it's hard to just say, go pray about it. Like, what do you say to that person that, I don't want to necessarily use the word church hurt, but they might be church hurt. They might just be not connected to the message of, pray about it. Like, what is your take on how to address someone that is in that frame of mind right now? Because it's just so painful.
I want to say the same answer again, not to sound repetitive, but reach out, because I've actually been there. I'm telling you, and this is not to knock the church system or the kingdom system. It's just that a lot of this is not being taught. It's not being taught or talked about. It's not, because I'm telling you, I've sat with counsel in church when I went through my process. They were like, just pray and just do this and love. And once again, they're powerful. Those are powerful tools. Keep praying for sure. Keep meditating. Keep exercising love. Keep apologizing. But we got to learn how to live with the memory. And I went through that process of dealing with church leaders, and God, he got me alone and was like, Jamel, I'm about to show you how to do this. No, because I kept looking for the answer. I'm like, God, that's not working. I done fasted. I still feel hurt. I done prayed. He's like, because you never learned how to live with the memory. That's the human frailty that I gave you. I gave you a brain, and it has short-term and long-term memory. And this is how you address it. For some of us, partnering our memory may have to be with a therapist, might be having to partner your memory with somebody that's well-seasoned and experienced. They may not be certified, but they're experienced in life.
Yeah.
And this is what I do. Here's the thing, for couples, here's what I learned. At this point, relationships, when people get with people, I take people through this in my coaching program. We have to have memory meetings. And what do I mean by that? Meaning when you meet this person, think about it. You're meeting a person, you're connecting with a person that has memories. Some of them may be great memories, and some of them may be very traumatic. And then the other person's connecting with you, with your traumatic memories. And here's the thing, if neither person learned how to live with the memory, we're connecting. And here's the thing, we're connecting with mask. I'm not saying that the person's not being transparent, but we probably never had memory meetings. I know it because I know they're not having. Let me give an example. If I meet somebody during the course of our conversation, I'll start to ask them about their traumatic experiences. And then if they're open to it, I'll say, hey, you want to have a memory meeting? I'm not saying you got to unpack all your laundry, but if there's certain things that I know, like, hey, if you know about me, like, hey, you know what? I experienced this one thing in my life and it's still traumatic. I'm dealing with it. I'm not ignoring it. I'm going through the process of healing from this memory. So there's points where this may occur. So then let's say if we're sitting in the kitchen and you're cooking the food and then you say, hey, can you take that trash out or whatever it is? And it triggers the memory and I get silent. You don't look at me like, what's wrong with you? Because now that's when couples go into an argument. What's wrong with you? You might ask a question like, hey, is this something dealing with the memory? And you'd be like, yeah, babe, you know that moment, but I'm going to be okay. Can you just hold me or can you say this or whatever the case may be? And now we navigate through it different. Versus allowing the trigger to draw us once again into seclusion and isolation. You go sit in the back room, slam the door, and your boyfriend or your husband or your wife or your girlfriend sit there like, man, what happened? All I did was say, switch the movie, or all I did was say, hey, look at this part of the song, check out this part of the song. And then she just walked off, or he just walked off and went in the room and closed the door. What's going on? I don't know what's going on. We need to have memory meetings because that's probably something that just happened. A memory was triggered that you're unaware of, and we never talked about it because we're busy masking the memory with beautiful dances and going out to dinner. But really inside, I'm dark and I'm hurt, and I don't know if I want to tell him. But really, I can't blame this person because nobody never told us how to. We've mastered masking it from 5 years old all the way to 35 years old or 25 years old. And now you're with somebody and you've mastered masking it.
Suppression is.
And these are serious conversations that need to be had. And I'm thankful to know it now. So when I do connect with someone again, we're having memory meetings. And I'm not, like I said, you don't got to unpack everything, but I want to know enough that when certain things occur and you respond certain ways, I don't respond in anger or be disgruntled because you might be having you might be having a moment. But here's the thing. This has to be mutual. Because somebody may listen and say, well, my significant other, they ain't even trying to participate. That's where you might need to get some assistance in therapy or coaching because some people, it's not mutual. That's the thing. When couples partner their memory, it has to be mutual. Because somebody may be willing to open up and the other person's still trying to be closed, and that's not healthy.
Ooh. Lord Jesus, great balls of fire. This was definitely, I know I caught some major gems from this episode, and I'm definitely unpacking some things in my own memories right now and really understanding the importance of partnering those things with positivity. And let's not even play no games around here. Your girl is in therapy, okay? She's been in therapy for almost a year now. You know what I'm saying? Like I am a advocate for therapy. Therapy is definitely a vibe because these are people that are they don't know you personally. They're here to listen, to guide, to provide resources to help you navigate as well through these moments. And that's exactly you're spot on. Because that's exactly how my therapist says it. Like, it's all that get over it and, it'll pass and, just erase that out your memory bank and blah, blah. That's not realistic. we have to learn how to still stand boldly in who we are and live with what has been presented in front of us. And that is why I'm so happy you brought this message today. Thank
Can
you.
I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I really want to emphasize on that term of living with the memory. Ladies, I'm not saying you go think about it. It's not going nowhere. So don't go sit in the room or sit in the hole or sit wherever and think if I just sit here long enough, it's going to go away. No, living. That means you keep doing what you're doing. Keep getting up with the strength that you have to go to work. Keep going to exercise. Keep going to worship. Keep going to pray. Keep going to meditate. Keep going hanging out with your girls because you're living with it. And some of us, that time frame, my time frame was not as long. Some people's time frame, this is why couples got to understand this. And even singles, your time frame for healing and living with your healing from yours may be 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. You meet somebody, they need to be understanding enough and patient enough to know, like, especially if you explain to them, hey, I'm learning how to live with this memory, this traumatic experience. I'm getting stronger and stronger every day. The memory is getting weaker and weaker. It's not going anywhere, but I've gotten to a point where I'm stronger and now I can overcome that. You keep on living. That's one thing I want to say. Keep on living. That's why it's called living with the memory. And I want to say this, and I'm done. I tweeted this. You can't take the cure and the poison at the same time and expect to have a holistic healing.
Yikes. Say that again.
You cannot take the cure and the poison at the same time and expect a holistic healing. What do I mean by that? If you're trying to have a holistic healing, meaning mind, body, and soul, and everything in alignment, not perfection, but in alignment, you're really healthy, you're holistically healthy, meaning if you're learning how to live with the memory and you're trying to do it, once again, it can't be, oh, okay, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I'm gonna go out and I'm not knocking. If you drink, that's okay if that's what you do. But sometimes we do that sometimes as a habit or doing certain habits to help us heal from the memory. That means you're taking the cure. No, that means you're taking the poison and the cure at the same time, and you're expecting a holistic healing. It's never gonna happen.
Lord, that was it right there. That was it right there. And I can totally relate to taking the poison and the cure at the same time, because I was definitely one of those people trying to drink my problems away, smoke them things away, whatever I had to do to just suppress, just to feel something different in that moment, just to numb those neurons in my brain. Like I just felt like I needed to do something different, but all it did was resurface in a different way or come back in the next couple hours or the next day or the next trigger. So I really, really appreciate you for sharing that. So thank you for coming out today. I can't let you go though without letting people know if you got anything new coming up, how they can get in contact with you, like how they can stay connected. Definitely drop that.
On Instagram, it's Jamel D. Jackson. Actually, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter is Jamel D. Jackson. And to access a podcast I just released, it's VPAPOV podcast. That stands for Valuable People Attract People of Value. Head over to my Instagram, click the link in the bio, and it will take you into my entire world. That gets everybody everywhere fast and speedy.
Yes, and don't forget to grab that Value of Relationships, the book. You got another volume coming out, don't you?
Volume 2 will be released this year. And the first chapter in Volume 2 is called Living with the Memory.
Yo, I know this is going to be heavy because Value of Relationships 1 was amazing. So I'm super excited to see what you want.
Appreciate it.
So thank you so much for hanging with us today.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Thank you for having me. I hope somebody's blessed. And like I said, don't be afraid. Reach out.
Yes, thank you. Ladies, I know that this was a heavy episode, but it was the type of heavy you need when you're trying to unpack, when you're trying to become this amazing force to be reckoned with. It's going to take the inner work in order for it to show on the outside. Like, stop trying to make yourself over from the outside and not work on yourself from the inside out. That's where the true beauty lies. When you really learn how to align yourself with the right people, when you learn how to really like get yourself together from the inside at the core, that's a different type of sexy, baby. And you got to get with that. So I hope that this was a very helpful and powerful episode for you. Take those notes, drop those comments when this episode drops. We want to hear from you. We want to hear those reviews. We want to know what more you want to hear from the Recrown You podcast, because we know that once we lay the blueprint, you will go ahead and build the foundation. And that's why we're here. So I can't wait for y'all to get with the rest of my guests this season. This is going to be real hot, real heavy, real powerful, but it's going to be here for you to make the moves that you so desire and deserve in this season. So y'all already know how this ends. In the meantime, in between time, I'm going to catch y'all next time.
You know it's time.
Recrown.